This is episode 36 of the Underhooks podcast. We got a lot of news. We had an amazing fight night in San Diego that just happened. And we got to preview the upcoming pay-per-view this weekend, which is UFC 278. Of course, headlined by Kamaru Usman fighting your favorite fighter, Leon Rocky Edwards. But before we do that, I want to jump into some news because there's a lot of it. So I want to jump right into it. First of all, Jorge prefers to fight Conor McGregor over Gilbert Burns. Gilbert Burns has been pining for a fight with Jorge. Looks like right now Jorge's waiting for Conor McGregor. And also he's probably waiting to see what happens with this court case before he signs any kind of fight. But that's kind of where things stand with Burns and Jorge and Conor right now. And I think I've said on this podcast before that I prefer the Conor Jorge fight for Conor. That I think that would be the perfect fight for him to come back to. What are your thoughts on this? You want to go see Jorge get knocked out by Gilbert Burns first?
Yes, I would prefer that, but we've said several times on this pod, the perfect matchup is Conor and Masvidal. That is like an absolute easy sale, so they need to go ahead and get with that.
So let's say that fight isn't going to happen. The Burns-Jorge fight isn't going to happen because Jorge's waiting because he might be a criminal / waiting for Conor. What do you do now with Burns? What do you want to do with him at this point? Knowing that Kazma is booked, obviously Leon and
give him the
Usman are
loser
also booked.
of this one.
The loser of the championship fight?
Yeah, so give him Leon.
Well, what if obviously if Kamaru loses, he can get a rematch. But
yeah, but brother,
I like that. Give him Leon if Leon loses.
We know what's not happening. It ain't even. We don't even need to beat around the bush for the followers and listeners today.
Oh my God.
We already know.
So there's this weird thing going on. So basically, Yuri and Glover is about to be made, and they're basically just trying to figure out how to make it. They've announced that they're going to Brazil in January. So obviously, the UFC would like to put Glover and Yuri in Brazil because Glover is from Brazil. Yuri doesn't want to fight him in Brazil, and he's the champion. So what he wants is going to hold some weight. So Yuri is saying, okay, just put us on the December card. Well, the December card, the UFC is trying to put John Jones there, which means that there wouldn't be a need to put another big fight like Glover Yuri on it because it's going to be John Jones. It basically sells itself. However, the rumor is that they're not trying to make John Stipe in December. They're trying to make John Francis in December. They're trying to, at the last minute, get Francis to come back, even if we don't know that he's healthy, which I doubt that he is. I think Francis is close to 300 pounds right now, by the way.
He had a torn ACL, right?
Yes.
And that was, when was that?
That was at the beginning of the year. That was, I think, February.
Was February.
It might have been January.
I mean,
still,
I don't know if he could get. It's not fair from him getting enough of a camp. Like he's really just rehabbing.
Facts, and his contract ends like days after this. If he went through this whole thing of making a stink, why would he go take a fight with John Jones 3 days before his contract is supposed to end? He would have to sign a new contract for that to happen. But of course, he wants to go box. So I doubt that this is going to happen. But apparently, this is what they're doing. And again, the Stipe part of this has been being held up for a long time. It's just weird to have a John Jones fight where John Jones isn't the one that's holding things up. It seems like Stipe and or Francis obviously are holding things up, and John Jones is ready to fight. So that's just a weird wrinkle, but it's probably a good sign for how John Jones is going to perform because for once he ain't the one bickering over money. He's ready to get in there and fight. So that's weird stuff happening. So we'll see what happens with Yuri Glover, and we'll definitely see what happens with that December card. It's going to be very interesting if that news starts to break. Islam says Charlie Olives only took the fight because the UFC was going to let Chandler fight for the belt. They were going to let Chandler and Islam fight for the belt if Charlie Olives didn't take the fight. So basically, Islam is saying that Charlie Olives is scared of him. And Islam's been talking tough, bro. Islam's been talking extremely tough before this fight. He sounds extremely confident. I just don't.
That's a nasty crap. I mean, like, I don't know. We see people talking trash and it pans out from them. I don't know. Maybe we put too much stock in the talk. But Charlie Olives is really good. Like, you need to have some sense of respect for him. Like, you can still dog him and trash and be confident, but I don't know. I've said I don't think he's fought nearly the competition, and this is an insane jump.
So he hasn't. I'm not gonna do this one. This is stupid. Costa is apparently right on weight. He looks skinny. He said he's not having any weight issues, and it looks like he's going to actually make weight. Of course, Costa fights Luke Rockhold this weekend. Both of them had trouble in that middleweight division in terms of making weight in the past. So we'll see if that fight actually happens. But it looks like from the Costa perspective, he looks pretty healthy. So maybe he'll actually make weight this time. Tony Ferguson switched gyms to Jackson Wink. Jackson Wink used to be the home of John Jones.
The gym he needs to go to? The YMCA. I work out there, Tony. Place for where you wash. Man can join Planet Fitness. That's the only gyms you need to look at. They got that. You ever seen that silver sneakers when you walk in?
Yes.
But old people got it. They got the discount. That's what he needs, because other than that, it's time to give up that dream.
That is so disrespectful, bro. So Molly's gonna fight at Madison Square Garden on 281, but Patty will not be on that card for whatever reason. So they're splitting up the Molly Patty show. Molly is fighting Erin Blanchfield, which is a step up in competition for her. But I'm sure Patty will be there, but he's not fighting on the card. So it'll be a bit different than what we saw in London the past couple of times. You think Molly's gonna lose just like Samson cutting his hair? You think Molly's not gonna have that power because Patty's not fighting there? Or is him being like there in her corner and there in the backstage?
She's fighting another scrub, so she's gonna be completely fine.
Well, that's fair. Erin Blanchfield, not much to write home about, but we'll see. So something weird is happening with UFC 279. If you look at that card, there is no card. There's no one on this card. That is the Nate Diaz Kazmat Chimaev fight. Of course, Nate Diaz, even though he's not a champion, is going to share in the pay-per-view because it was already in Nate Diaz's deal that he shares the pay-per-view. And I'm pretty sure that the reason for that is because they don't want this pay-per-view to make a lot of money because they don't want to give Nate Diaz a huge paycheck. The second biggest fight on this card right now is Johnny Walker and Ian Cutelaba. Jamie Pickett looks like he's the co-main event. Jamie Pickett is the co-main event of a UFC pay-per-view. This is extremely nasty. They're doing Nate Diaz wrong, brother. This is going to be the nastiest card. Sometimes those nasty cards be the ones that really turn up, but there's no other names on this card at all that would sell a pay-per-view other than Kazmat and Nate Diaz.
They just gonna leave it like that. Like they're coming up against college football.
Facts.
Like
this is September 10th. That's prime college football hours. Isn't that week 2 of college football? Or is that week 3?
It's week 2.
Listen.
I might not. If shit go wrong, I might go to sleep.
You know we don't be paying for the pay-per-views anyway. But right. Listen, I'll be watching football, brother. And if Texas loses to Alabama, I might just be passed out and drunk and not watching any UFC. But best of luck to Dana and Nate Diaz and all them people. This card looks awful.
Just on that card.
Your favorite champion, Aljo, is dropping a rap/pop song with his brother and his cousin. So last week you said he was a better champion than Izzy, and this week now he's making music. So I'm giving you space to take back what you said about Aljo and Izzy, because obviously
Aljo is a great rapper. I haven't heard it yet, but him and my son Bryce, they got that rapping dog in them.
This is the nastiest content that we've ever had on this podcast.
Aljo from up north, he better than Nas.
This is the nastiest content that we have ever had on this podcast.
You need to respect Aljo, and I don't appreciate the way you haven't respected him throughout his career.
This is ridiculous. You are the main Aljo hater, and now you're only using him to pop up because you hate Izzy so much. This is ridiculous.
Hey, we gotta push for the agenda we have to.
This is the nastiest shit. And he also sent the song to your favorite rapper, Joyner Lucas, and he thinks that Joyner Lucas is going to put a verse on the song. I can tell you right now, I don't be.
Yeah, that ain't the right direction to go, Aljo.
So like I said, the UFC is going back to Brazil in January. Obviously, you're going to do Figgy Moreno there. They might get Amanda doing her next fight there, whether it be at 135 or whether it be against Valentina. We'll see what happens there. Maybe Charles and Islam will be there, which I would love because that fight doesn't have a home yet. And so maybe we'll get Charles and Islam. Oh, no, sorry. Aren't Charles and Islam in Abu Dhabi? So that's probably not going to get moved, but I guess they could do it. Maybe Glover Yuri, like I said. Also, if everything's healthy, Aldo's also from Brazil. So if Aldo wins and wants to fight as early as January, because he's about to fight this month or next month. If he wants to fight as early as January, maybe he could headline the Brazil card, getting his title shot against either TJ or Aljo. That could work. So they're still building out that Brazil card, but that's going to be fun. There are a ton of Brazilian fighters across the roster, so that should be a pretty good event. What else I got?
You see Francis talking about sponsorships?
No, what'd he say?
He was talking about he was tweeting earlier, but he was just talking about, how fighters are getting ripped off from being able to have their own sponsors. And he was talking about how he lost out like on $1 million deal of crypto because they had their contract with crypto.com.
See, man, it's nasty. It's not just that Dana taking all the money. He also restricts how they can go make their money. And it's not right, bro. It's not right. And a guy like Francis could really be cashing out right now. Whatever he's making, he can't go box. He can't go get crypto money. Like Dana, like let that man go out there and make his money. If you're not going to pay him, and other people will.
And he's not even asking for much. Like his like we should have 2 approved sponsors that we could get. Like, and then people are always mentioning talking about like how much do you complain? Why are you whining? It's like, bro, damn, like Dana has a nasty little cult.
Dana is. I really genuinely hate across sports when people take the side of ownership against the actual players/fighters, especially in the UFC where the fighters are getting next to nothing. Even the ones that are making real money are not making anywhere near the amount of money that they're helping the UFC to generate. It's just very nasty. So it looks like Jan and Ankalaev is going to happen because Jan and Ankalaev, after Jamal Hill won, there was like a 5-man battle royale at the top of light heavyweight, and it looked like they were going to make Glover Yuri. And so you basically were left with only 3 top contenders. After that, it'll be Jan, Ankalaev, and Jamal Hill. And after Jamal Hill won, Jan and Ankalaev quickly realized we are teammates in this. We should get together and book our fight basically now and leave Jamal Hill out of it, because now Jamal Hill is going to want to fight one of those guys if he can't get a title shot. So Jan and Ankalaev have been talking trash back and forth. It looks like they're going to try to make that fight happen, which also seems to confirm the rumors of Yuri Glover being the next light heavyweight championship fight, because they basically stopped talking to Yuri and Glover, so they must know that they're not going to get that fight. And it looks like Jamal Hill's the odd man out. So I don't know what you do with Jamal Hill next. Maybe he just waits and fights maybe the loser of Jan and Ankalaev, or maybe the loser of the championship fight. We'll see what happens with Jamal Hill, but it looks like he's going to be the odd man out there. They're about to book Cannonier versus Strickland. What's your interest in this fight? I know Strickland's your savior. I know Cannonier's your savior. You thought he was going to be Izzy.
No. We still apologize for those lies. Who cares?
I knew honestly, you were
again. This fight means nothing. Our next fight with Izzy literally means everything for that division. I mean, because again, he's fought everybody. There's literally nothing to do with that division.
There's nothing.
For the sake of good, spectacle, we need an Izzy L. I think it's the best route, and everybody should be rooting for it.
You got to stop this shit, bro. This has to stop. He could lose, but we don't need no Izzy L, brother. We don't need that. I would actually like it better if Izzy won, but Alex Fajeda is really him, and so he might lose. They also look like they're going to book Brunson versus Hermanson, same division. You excited about that for December?
Yeah, Brunson would be. I'm excited to see him get back in the ring.
It's supposed to be Brunson's last fight, according to what he said before he got cooked by Cannonier. He said he only had 2 more fights left. So we'll see if that holds true. Speaking of how many fights you have left, Sam Alvey has finally been released by the UFC. Thank God. His record of 9 straight fights without a win will never be broken in the UFC, ever, ever, ever. That will stand for as long as we are alive. He broke his jaw in his last fight. He had his 6 kids present, like we said. And now it looks like he's trying to, after 25 UFC fights, he's trying to get a fight with Jake Paul. Listen, Sam, we're not watching you fight.
No, we'll watch any other washed up UFC fighter, but it's not Sam Alvey.
Not you. Sorry. Dana says he's not going to increase fighter pay. Quote, these guys get paid what they're supposed to. Goes back to the other topic we're talking about. Uriah Hall and Roy McDonald have retired since we last potted. Roy McDonald was absolutely horrible in the PFL. He got smoked in the PFL semifinals. He has had a horrible run of it, and now Roy McDonald is retired. Uriah Hall was that guy who had a lot of hype coming into the UFC. He never quite lived up to it, so he's also retired. Your favorite fighter, Kayla Harrison, has been trying to recruit Cyborg to come to the PFL, but it looks like the Cyborg is going to stay with Bellator, and Cyborg's about to go box somebody, and it's going to be co-promoted with Bellator, so she's not leaving Bellator to go to the PFL, so that fight's not going to happen. So back, Kayla Harrison also fights this weekend, another tomato can, and I'm going to be watching, and it's going to be elite television because I'm going to be there.
It's ridiculous, man.
You heard of Bo Nickel yet? You onto the Bo Nickel train yet?
I saw the tweets and talk about it, but I haven't watched it.
So Bo Nickel is like a very, very decorated college wrestler who is now making his way into MMA. He had a couple amateur fights. He's been great. I don't think he's lost yet. He was just on the Contender Series. He finished the fight in like 60 seconds, something crazy. And Dana said, we're not going to sign you to the UFC yet because we want you to headline another Dana White Contender Series fight. So now Bo Nickel is fighting on the Contender Series again in September, even though he's the highest hype person to ever come through the Contender Series at this point in his career. Obviously, he's already got a UFC contract. If he loses this fight in September, it's not going to matter. This guy's going to go to the UFC, but he's only got a couple fights, and so Dana's like, why not let him main event another Dana White Contender Series fight? And it's really genius when you think about it, even though it's nasty as hell, because I've never watched Dana White Contender Series until I saw this fight. I happened to turn it on. I watched for the 2 minutes it lasted and then turned it back off again. And I'm going to watch again in September because this guy looks like he's really good. And Bo Nickel will be in the UFC here very soon. It'll be very fun to see what he can do. The PFL is fucked, bro. Your PFL agenda has really been winning. All the big time UFC fighters, ex-UFC fighters that they've paid have been losing. I told you Roy lost. Anthony Pettis also lost. So they're going out there fighting these guys that are supposed to be tomato cans, and they're getting absolutely smoked. But speaking of the PFL, they just signed Shane Burgos. Shane Burgos fought about a month ago in Long Island on the Long Island card. His contract was up, and he signed with PFL, and this is the crazy part, because he could not say no to that kind of money. UFC could not match what the PFL was paying, and we're just talking about his pay. We're not even talking about the fact that he's going to fight potentially for $1 million. We're just talking about what he's making on his base level contract. UFC could not match that. For a guy like Shane Burgos, who is exciting every time he goes out there, the PFL outbid them basically. But again, they keep making these swings for ex-UFC talent. They're paying them top dollar, and they really need these people to go out and win because name recognition will bring people to watch these championship matches they have set up. And they're trying to move that night where they have all 7 title fights. They're trying to move that to pay-per-view. But no one's going to pay for that pay-per-view if we've never heard of any of the people fighting on the card other than Kayla Harrison. So they're in a really tough spot, but they're trying to sign UFC talent, and now they got Shane Burgos. All right, I think that's it. Other than to say this weekend is a big weekend for MMA. Of course, we got 278 popping off. I told you that Kayla Harrison is fighting in the PFL playoffs the same day. And Michael Venom Page is on loan from Bellator, and he's fighting Mike Perry in Bare Knuckle FC. That's also happening on Saturday, so a lot going on. I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely awful.
Let's talk UFC San Diego, then we can jump into 278. So obviously UFC San Diego, which turned out to be a pretty good card, was main evented by Dominic Cruz and Chito Vera. We both picked Chito. I think that's the only fight we actually picked on this card.
Yeah,
we both got it right. And I'll give you props because as the fight was happening, of course, Victor. Damn it! I told myself I was not going to call this man Victor Cruz again. Dominic Cruz won the first 2 rounds. He looked great. He was moving fast. He was popping in and out. He did get dropped a couple times in those first couple rounds, but he obviously won those rounds just based on volume alone. And Chito, who always kind of starts slow, was just kind of starting slow. But the whole time you were tweeting, okay, this is where Chito's going to turn the fight around. Don't worry about it. Everything's fine. And sure enough, round 3, Chito won round 3 and then head kicked him into the stands in round 4. Chito was really him, man. He looked calm and collected the entire time. And I felt awful for Dominic Cruz, who fought a pretty good fight, but it was inevitable. He fought an
amazing fight.
Yeah, he was good.
only thing I hate about Chito, he reminds me of Charlie Alice, and it's like, man, you chill so much, you get yourself. I don't know. All right, so maybe that's not a good comparison the more I think about it, but I do feel like he takes off like so many rounds, and I get your reads and stuff like that, but it's like you're flirting with danger. Like you
Yes.
can't lose 2 rounds
He literally
because you're
lost the
trying to
first two
read it.
rounds in a 5-round fight. At that point, your back's against the wall.
So I mean, you are putting yourself in the absolute. I have to win 3 straight rounds, and I just think that's a dangerous game to play. The higher that he starts to climb, and eventually he's gonna get a title shot. So you can't play that game.
One of the judges, I think, gave round 3 to Cruz. That just shows you how dangerous it is to come out and start a fight like that. Where on one of the scorecards, at least, he was down 3 rounds going into the 4th round. If that goes to the decision, that judge is giving the fight to Cruz. So it is.
But the hard thing for that was, I get the output and the strikes, but it was like even when Chito was hitting him, he was knocking him down. Like he knocked him down every time he touched him.
Yep.
It's like, but I still get the scoring. I still agree with the scoring, but that's a dangerous game to play. But man, Chito, it's him. Like really, really, really,
he is him.
Him.
It was fascinating to me because I thought Dominic Cruz looked great. I thought he looked pretty good. And there were some people, I think there were other UFC fighters who came out and said, I think Aljo came out and said, it's clear that Cruz can't take a shot anymore. His chin's gone. And I don't think that was the case, even though he was falling every time he got hit. I think it's because of the way that Cruz fights. There's nobody that fights like him in the world. Because of the way that he fights, his body is not always in the perfect position to take a shot. Now, it's not just about your chin.
Balance.
He's getting caught off balance. He's falling over. You can see it so clearly, and it's funny. Chito said that his coach, who he has a great relationship with, sent him a picture of Victor Cruz ducking his head down to the right as he was exiting in a previous fight, and didn't even put words to the picture. Chito just knew that meant he ducks his head when he's exiting. So you're going to be able to catch him with a high kick on the exit, and that's literally exactly how we got the knockout. Like he literally caught him on the exit and kicked his face into the cage, and it was beautiful. It was one of the best knockouts of the year. It was phenomenal, but this was not the fight of the night, brother. The fight of the night was the co-main event. Nate Landwehr and David Onama might have given us the fight of the year.
It was so chaotic.
It was insane.
The sad thing was, I think I only watched these 2 fights for the whole night. I think I maybe popped in, but I wasn't paying attention.
Oh my God.
I sat down and watched that. And it was like, what in the hell is going on? And it was like, just when you think Onama was in absolute hell, he would just get like this random burst of energy. Like there was one time I literally thought he was dead. Like I've never seen anybody that tired. And then he just went on that insane.
He's so punching.
Yeah, I think it was the time when he started to taunt him. And it was like Onama got mad, but then he like he threw like 13 punches, and then he was like gassed again. I was like, what is this?
This fight was insane. Onama came out early, and Onama is such a clean striker, bro. Like when he has cardio, he's such a clean striker. And he came out and he was landing some absolute bombs on Nate Landwehr early on. And in fact, I think one of the shots put Nate out, but then when Nate hit the canvas, it woke him back up. So in the first round, Onama had him. And because he thought he had him, he literally emptied his gas tank like in 4 minutes. And for the rest of the fight, he had no cardio at all. It was just bouncing around the ring in different states of Gatorade bottle flashing over his head. Nate Landwehr is whooping his ass, but Nate is not finishing him. And in fact, Nate's not even trying to finish him, because every time he got him to the ground, he would just stand up and start dancing over him and start taunting him. And Onama would stand up slow as hell and then get his ass whooped some more. And then he would have another burst of energy where he would land 3 or 4 punches, back Nate off, and then Nate would go back to whooping his ass. And then coming out of the corner into the 3rd round, Onama's corner was like, do you still want to fight? Do you still want to fight? And I don't think Onama knew where he was. They were holding him up. Like, he was in bad shape.
Chaotic.
I can't believe he finished the fight. I cannot believe that Onama finished the fight. Landwehr won the fight because he won rounds 2 and 3, because Onama had no more cardio left. But this was an incredible fight. I don't think it was the fight of the year, just because Onama was basically, for the last 10 minutes of that fight, he was not in the fight. Like, he was basically just a punching bag who would sometimes come to life and throw 10 punches and then go back to being a punching bag. but it was a lot of fun to watch in real time. And what a huge win for Nate Landwehr, who absolutely crushed it on the mic. Nate Landwehr sounds black. Why does he sound black? That is a black man.
He cut a promo in a half.
He said his mama ain't raised no bitch. That's incredible bars on the mic. That's incredible promo cutting right there. He went crazy. He really shined in the moment. He was taunting. He gained a lot of fans that night, including me, because I had a great time watching him. And David Onama will be back. He's a young kid. I was very impressed with Onama as well, but props to Nate Landwehr. You didn't watch the rest of this card, so I'll run down a couple of things real fast. There was a women's fight where they both were debuting that was the most insane women's fight that I've seen in a long time. They were Yaragui and Lucindo. It was a decision, but it was really fun to watch. Murzakanov is now 12-0. He hit Devin Clark with an extremely nasty body shot in round 3, knocked him out. Devin Clark is a can, so it's not like this win means much, but Murzakanov just keeps on trucking 12-0. Gerald Mershart III got a great round 3 sub over Silva, and he's won 4 of his last 5, so we really got to start looking out for GM3. Angela Hill got a decision win. I think it was a split decision. She looked great, and always great to see the first black woman in the UFC history get a win. She's been not coming out on the right side of these judges lately. She's been in a lot of really close fights where she keeps losing the split decisions. This time she won it. Nina Nunes, the wife of Amanda Nunes, got a win and retired. That's about it. Oh, Ode Osborne got absolutely smoked by Tyson Nam. He got knocked out early in round 1. It was nasty, and I really like Ode Osborne. He got absolutely rocked. It was nasty. And we also got the first fight of the night. I don't even remember who was in it, but it was a draw, and it was our first draw of the year. That's all I got for UFC San Diego. Fun card. Again, it's like when we leave the Apex, shit is popping. But our last Apex event was 10 for 10 knockouts or finishes, so I can't even hate on the Apex right now. All right, let's get into 278. And let's shout out people on the early prelims and prelims before we get into the main card. That AJ Fletcher kid is on the early prelims. He's got a lot of hype behind him. He's 9-1, and I think he won his debut. He's on the early prelims. Okay.
Wow, these are early prelims.
I don't like these prelims
either. Right.
Miranda Maverick is fighting on the prelims. Miranda Maverick is there. All right, we get into the main card. This is not the greatest. This is in Salt Lake City, so they match the
energy of the city.
Let's see. I think we should only pick the top 3 fights.
We'll get to agree.
The main card opens with Tyson Pedro fighting Harry Hunsucker. And I think, why is it not showing me my odds? Hold on, I gotta pull up my odds.
Which fight?
The Hunsucker
is the first minus 740.
There we go. God damn, that is a huge. That line is huge. Yeah. Holy shit. All right, so that fight, that's opening the main card. We're not picking that. And then the second fight is Wu Yanan is a plus 110 underdog against Lucy Putilova, who's a minus 130 favorite. And I don't even know if I've ever heard of Lucy Putilova, so we're not picking that. But we'll start picking at the third fight down. This is the fight I'm most excited about. The number 3 bantamweight.
Best fight.
I think so too. The number 3 bantamweight, Jose Aldo, is a slight underdog at plus 110 against the number 6 bantamweight, Merab Dvalishvili, who's a minus 130 favorite. Last time we saw Merab, he almost died in the octagon when he was fighting Marlon Moraes. Had an epic comeback and a very bloody war to come back and finish Marlon Moraes in that fight. But now he's fighting the King of Rio. Jose Aldo has been fighting for seemingly 57 years. He is still peak powers. He has a win over Chito Vera, who we just were telling y'all is really him. Well, last time Chito Vera lost, he lost to Jose Aldo. Jose Aldo is really him. I thought he should have got the title shot over TJ personally. If he wins this fight, he's definitely getting a title shot. And I will go ahead and pick this for you first. Jose Aldo usually does great against guys who really want to wrestle. Merab does have striking, obviously, but what Merab does well is to get you to the ground and beat the shit out of you. And Jose Aldo does really good against fighters like that in the past. Generally, it's very hard to take him down. He's going to have the absolute advantage on his feet And Jose is really him, and I need him to headline that Brazil card in January. So I'm picking Jose Aldo to win this fight. You know I'm not picking against my son. I'm not picking against him. So Jose Aldo will get this done, but it will be a great fight. But I don't think Morales going to be able to take him down and keep him down. So I'm going to take Jose Aldo.
The only people who have recently beat Aldo, Peter Yan,
Yep.
Elite,
Volk, Elite,
damn sure Elite. This is a big jump. I don't believe that Merab's ground game is going to be effective because, again, he's going against a very, very legit striker. I mean, one of the best strikers in that division. He has 17 wins by knockouts. He has 12 first-round finishes. And he has a 46% striking accuracy.
Jeez.
I don't see this going past maybe the third, well, I mean, not the third, past the second round. I think it's going to be a really high action. I think Merab is going to try to force the strike in here just to get him off his game. Yep. Because Aldo does have pretty good takedown defense as well. I mean, it's not like he's a terrible ground guy. I think it was like 91 that I saw was his takedown percent. So, again, that's not going to be a good strategy. Or at least I think that's what he's going to try to think of. This isn't a good strategy. So I'm going to try to throw him off and, get into a striking battle. And that's not a good strategy either.
Nope.
There's not a good solution to how you beat Aldo. So we are going the same on this one. But I do think it's going to be a very entertaining fight.
Merab is tough as hell, and he will put himself in danger and keep coming forward, which is the exact kind of guy that Jose Aldo can really look great against. I agree with you. This is going to be the best fight on the card. I'm very excited for it. As soon as it was booked, I was extremely excited for it, although obviously I wanted Aldo to be in the championship fight. And Merab and Aljo are teammates and very good buddies. So I would love for Jose Aldo to get this win and then go call out Aljo, even though we don't know if Aljo will be the champion once it's time for Jose to fight again. But I think that Aljo will be the champion still, and I think that fight, it would be great. We're both going the same way on that one. Our co-main event, which of course I have previewed that it might not happen because these guys have a history of missing weight. Paulo Costa is a minus 345 favorite. He is the number 6 middleweight. And Luke Rockhold, former champion Luke Rockhold, who hasn't fought in, I think, 3 years, is a plus 285 underdog. And if you want to talk about somebody saying all the right things or saying all the wrong things, he's saying all the things that you hear people say when shit's not going well for them. He's saying shit like, I'm fighting for me now. Before, it was fighting for everybody else, but now I'm fighting for me. He's saying shit like, this is really just a test for me. I don't really care about what anybody else thinks. It's not about Paulo Costa. This is just for me to test myself. He's saying stuff like, I'm not fighting for money. Yeah, that's because you're not about to get your show. You're going to get the show money. You're not about to get your win bonus, brother. So you already not even counting those dollars. Costa is really him when he does or doesn't make weight. He's a great fighter. He just has a very shitty personality, and he sometimes misses weight. He looks to be in great shape. If he goes out there and loses to a guy who is a former champion but hasn't fought in 3 years, I'd be very surprised. I got to go with the favorite here. I'm taking Paulo Costa to win.
Yeah, I agree with that. Paulo lost his last match against Vettori. Barely. It was a decision. I think it could have went either way.
Yep.
Honestly, I think what it went down to was probably round 2 when Vettori was able to get some takedowns with him, and then I think he got severely outstruck in round 3. But other than that, it was a pretty close fight. Paulo hasn't lost to a lot of people. He's lost to Izzy, but before that, he's beat some absolute studs.
Facts.
I think our biggest issue is not about the talent of Paulo.
He was undefeated before he fought Izzy. He was undefeated before he fought Izzy.
It's literally his head. Is he in the right mental frame? Because he's done some questionable shit. It's not John Jones level questionable, but like the whole vaccines, pushing the nerve shit.
That was extremely nasty. And that, I haven't heard anybody bring that up this week until you said that.
Nobody
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, it just kind of all got swept under the rug, which was like a really weird incident.
Super weird.
He's acted weird in press conferences. I don't know. And you said like the weight issues, and I do feel like for somebody of that level, a weight cut issue for most of the time is a discipline, just mental. You're an elite athlete. You know what you got to do. Like you should know where you're at camp. Like this should be a surprise to you.
You have months to do it. It's not like you got to do it in a week. You have literally months to do it.
Yeah. So it's just like there's no excuse for that.
Mm-hmm.
But
last time when he fought Vettori, they did it at a catch weight because he was so big. He missed the catch weight. Like it was way over.
So it's just I don't know. If this guy's head's in the right place, he is good. He is a contender. But I don't know where his head is. But the big thing with this fight is it doesn't matter. The talent is way too much.
All right, the main event. Kamaru Usman.
Oh, brother.
The guy is really him, is a minus 380 favorite against Jamaica/London's Leon Edwards, who is a plus 310 underdog. Brock, do you want to cut a promo and tell our viewers that Leon Edwards is going to shock the world and win this fight? Do you want to do that?
I absolutely do not. We're not allowing anybody to cut a promo here. That's just not what we do anymore. That's not our brand.
I assume you're taking Usman. Tell me why.
All right. So let's talk about Leon's last fights, right?
Yep.
He beat Nate Diaz. Ooh. Right? I mean, that was a horrible fight. And he almost got knocked out by Nate Diaz in the last round.
Yep, he did.
Right? Like embarrassing as hell.
Yeah.
All right. Below, we had the issue with the eye.
Yep.
Okay, he fought Dos Anjos. He fought Nelson.
Between Dos Anjos, remember, he had about 19 fights get canceled during COVID. He was supposed to fight Masvidal. He was supposed to fight Tyron Woodley, I think, twice.
Even if he fought those guys.
He was supposed to fight Chimaev, I think, twice. None.
His next fight was Cowboy Cerrone. So, again, this guy is doing absolutely nothing and hasn't fought anyone worth anything. So I think the strength of schedule is very nasty. It's like an F. Where who in there has he fought that's been good? He fought Luque in 2017.
RDA is a former champion. Nate Diaz is really him, but Nate Diaz is old, and so is RDA. So
I mean, you haven't fought Colby. You haven't fought any of the top dogs.
He didn't even fight. He didn't even get a chance to fight my son Woodley on the way out. That fight kept getting canceled during COVID.
He's literally fought no one. Then you have Kamaru, and look at that resume. Holy shit! Has he not?
He's fought everybody.
He's fought everybody and literally has destroyed everybody.
We should also mention that this is a rematch, and he beat at his first fight in the UFC after he won the Ultimate Fighter was against Leon Edwards, and he beat Leon Edwards, but he beat him via decision. But he wrestled him to death in that fight, and we haven't seen Usman use his wrestling in a real way.
Done.
And
we don't even know if he still got it. We don't even know if
that's in his bag. You don't even have to open that bag anymore. That's insane.
But the most impressive thing, and I think this is the thing that has impressed me most, is not his knockout against Masvidal, because that is one of the greatest just knockouts from a sense of holy shit. Like it was a spectacle, all the sweat and whatnot. It's not his matches against Colby. Colby is very good. I mean, all bullshit aside, he is a very good fighter. His knockout of Burns was the one, because we see Burns is good. Despite the propaganda that you try to throw out there.
That's true. That's true. I own that.
He knocked him out. Looking at their progression, Usman has come so far. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was never the striker that he is now. And now he is a striker and can wrestle. So I just don't see. Somebody tell me, you could tell me, you go out on that limb. I think you're going to. I see it in your eyes. I know where you're picking. It's okay. You can pick Leon. You got to fade me. That's what you got to do. But
I kind of want to fade you.
I don't see an avenue that we're saying and new. We're not.
I don't. I'm going to go with you. I don't see an avenue just because if it could be the case that Leon Edwards is slightly the better striker. That's what people are saying. I don't actually know that to be true.
I don't see how you come away with that.
If it is true, I'm fine with it being true. But if it's true, the difference is marginal. The difference in the wrestling is massive. If Usman gets in a spot where Leon, who is not known for knocking people out, by the way, Leon is known for having clean striking and landing a lot, but Leon is not knocking people out. He beat up on Nate Diaz for 24 minutes, and he was landing everything he wanted to, and Nate Diaz was never even close to being finished in that fight. Nate Diaz just kept coming forward, and Nate Diaz is about 97 years old at this point. So Rocky don't finish people, but he can land punches, and over time, maybe get a late finish. But Kamaru is too smart to let him punch on him for 25 minutes. If he realizes in the first or second round that Leon has the better striking, guess what we're going to do now? I'm about to wrestle you for 3 rounds, and the fight is over. I just do not see how Leon can win the fight. Good on him for getting here. And I look forward to seeing who he's going to fight after this. But nobody's on the same level as Usman, especially not Leon Edwards. And I don't think like you that Leon Edwards is bad, but I do agree that his strength of schedule doesn't really show you that he's ready for this level of fight. To the extent that anybody's ready for this level of fight in that division, Usman is going to win, and I think Usman is going to finish him, or he's going to win in dominant fashion, 49 points on the scorecard or something like that. He's going to win 4 rounds or 5 rounds just because he's got the big joker. He hasn't even been using the big joker, but he can always use it. And when he fought Colby, for example, in those 2 fights, he didn't really try to wrestle Colby, but he also knows that Colby is also a high-level wrestler. That's why he didn't have to bring that out. He knows, he's felt the wrestling of Leon. Leon can't wrestle at all. So he is not scared to grapple or wrestle with Leon, so I think he's going to be more liberal in using it. And even the threat of that is going to make the striking look like that Usman's the better striker because Usman don't have to worry about wrestling. Leon has to be thinking of wrestling every second of this fight while they're striking, which means Usman's going to be landing shit. And when Usman lands shit, he'd be knocking niggas out. So I think Usman is going to finish this fight. I think he wins the fight. I agree with you. I wanted to fade you, but I'm not picking against Kamaru Usman. I'm not crazy.
And I think the hard thing is with Leon, he doesn't have a power threat.
No, he doesn't knock people out.
So I mean, when you eliminate that threat, you are getting a head hunting Usman maybe that's the issue. Maybe he turns into too much of a head hunter and he gets caught, but it's still, I just don't see it. I want to have a good fight because it'd be fun, but we just have to see.
I definitely agree with you there. We will obviously be tapped in, and we'll get back to recap it for y'all. Other than that, we chug forward. We got some pay-per-views coming up going forward, so keep tapping in with us. Subscribe and like. And if Leon Edwards does shock the world, we're going to have to go. There's somebody in our mentions that has been talking to us that is the biggest Leon Edwards fan. He's been talking to us about this fight for months. So I don't remember who that is, but if you're listening to this and you are that person, let us know. And then if Leon wins this fight, we will obviously bring you on so you can spit your bars because we don't see how Leon's going to win the fight.
I hate that you're not going to be able to join us, but you can always come on and no matter what. You'll just come and make excuses for him.
All right, that's all we got. We love y'all.
Peace.